You are listening to Small Business Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives small business owners the straight talk on productivity, time management, business systems, leading your teams, strategic decision-making, and mindset. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the productivity specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Small Business Straight Talk podcast. Today is episode 380, From Doer to Leader, Breaking Free from the Identity Crisis Keeping You Stuck. If you're a small business owner who wants to learn effective business strategies, improve time management, and elevate productivity to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. Are you working harder than ever but feeling like you're stuck in your own business instead of leading it? Today, we're going to talk about the identity crisis that happens when you transition from doer to leader and why this psychological shift is often the biggest barrier to scaling your business. I'm going to help you recognize if you're stuck in this pattern, understand why it's so hard to break free, and give you 5 practical steps to finally make the transition that will unlock your business growth. This could be the episode that changes everything about how you show up as the leader of your business. And if you've missed my recent 3-part work review extreme series, episodes 376, 377, and 378, those episodes pair perfectly with today's discussion about leadership transformation. And now, let's get to the straight talk. Have you ever hired someone to take work off your plate only to find yourself just as busy as before, but doing completely different tasks? Or maybe you've stepped back from the day-to-day operations, but you feel lost about what your actual job is supposed to be now. If you're nodding along, you're experiencing something that almost every business owner faces, but rarely talks about. The identity crisis that happens when you transition from being the person who does the work to being the person who leads the people who do the work. This isn't just about delegation or time management. This is about a fundamental shift in who you are in your business. Today, I want to help you recognize this pattern, understand why it's so challenging, and give you practical steps to break free from the cycle that keeps you stuck. Because here's the truth. Until you make this mental shift successfully, your business growth will always be limited by your personal capacity to do the work. The identity crisis of moving from doer to leader creates profound disorientation that most business owners aren't prepared for. You wake up uncertain about how to structure your day when you are no longer the primary person doing the work. There's this uncomfortable question floating around in your mind. What exactly is my work now? Many of my clients describe this feeling lost or flailing, like they're floating around without the familiar anchor of hands-on tasks. Their entire professional identity was built on being the person who delivers the work, and suddenly that foundation shifts underneath them. Here's what typically happens. They retreat back to doing the work because it feels safer and more familiar. When faced with the uncertainty of leadership, they grab onto what they know, the tasks, the deliverables, the tangible work that made them successful in the first place. I see this pattern consistently with my clients, and I have to point it out often because they don't recognize it in themselves. Here's how that typically unfolds. A client hires someone to take over tasks that they were doing because they've hit capacity. And during the training period, their schedule feels packed again, which totally makes sense. They're doing the work plus training a new team member. The new team member gets trained and starts performing well, and my clients say something like, they're doing great. But then reality hits. Somehow, my client's schedule is at capacity again. Yet, they haven't added much or anything new of value to the business. What happened? Well, their new hire was taking over the original tasks, my clients unconsciously filled that freed up time with more doing. And perhaps it was different tasks, but still the hands-on work. They never made the mental shift to leadership activities, the high-value activities that grow the business and lead the team. They just became a doer of different things. When I point this out, there's usually a moment of recognition followed by, yeah, I think you're right. You are right. I'm just doing different work, but I'm still doing it instead of leading my team, leading my business. I'm paraphrasing here, but I often hear some version of that every time I've pointed this out. But here's the thing. This retreat isn't really about the work. It's about identity. When you don't know who you are as a leader, you default back to who you were as a doer. And I got to tell you, I am not immune to this either. I have caught myself on numerous occasions being the doer instead of the leader as well. And while there are probably far too many examples to share with you in any one episode, I will share with you this, that this is not about right or wrong, black or white. This is truly about recognizing that you're doing it and choosing something different. And we're going to talk about those strategies and how to pull yourself out of being the doer. But I also have to use the very same strategies that I'm going to share with you today so that those times that I feel the draw, the need, the pull to be the doer and not the leader are further and further apart. And when they do happen, I can recognize it and course correct. So here's the question. Why is this identity so hard to release in the first place? The doer identity becomes deeply ingrained because it's built on a foundation of habit and identity. Think about it. You built your business by doing the work. You achieved success by doing. You got recognized and praised for doing. There's a genuine sense of pride that comes from being the person who delivers the results. This creates a powerful psychological loop. Doing equals success, equals recognition, equals pride, equals identity. When someone suggests you step back from doing, it can feel like they're asking you to step away from everything that made you successful. It's not about changing what you do. It's about changing who you think you are. And without proactively deciding how you provide value as a leader of your business, you may not understand exactly how that transformation from doer to leader will create more success, recognition, and pride for how you lead. You can't let go of the old identity until you can see the new one clearly. Now that you understand why this identity runs so deep, how do you know if you are stuck in this pattern? Here's how you know if you're struggling with this identity shift. You do not know how to create value in the business beyond doing the work yourself. You haven't clearly identified your new role, so you don't know what you're moving towards in your new identity. This is crucial because people either run from something or towards something. Business owners who don't know what they're running towards will always be pulled back into their habits, the familiar quote unquote work they know how to do. You'll see this show up in their task list, still filled with hands-on work rather than leadership activities. In the meetings they take, saying yes to operational meetings they should delegate. Their schedule may look exactly like it did when they were the primary doer. And in their language, still talking about, quote unquote, my work instead of, quote unquote, our results. Are you running towards a clear vision of yourself as a leader? Or are you just trying to escape the overwhelm of doing everything? If you can't answer what leading your business and team looks like for you specifically, you'll keep getting pulled back into the doing. Next, I want to talk to you about what is at stake if you stay trapped in this cycle. Here's what's at stake if you remain trapped in this identity crisis. Your business growth becomes limited by your personal capacity. When you keep retreating to doing, you're essentially putting a ceiling on what your business can achieve. But it's not just about business metrics. Staying stuck in this cycle takes a personal toll as well. Burnout and frustration from feeling like you're working harder but not getting ahead. Feeling trapped in your own business instead of feeling empowered by it. Mixed messages to your team. They don't know if you trust them or want to do their job. Your team suffers too. When you can't commit to the leadership role, your team members don't get clear expectations, growth opportunities, or the confidence that comes from working for a decisive leader. But here's the deepest cost. You're trapped in a vicious cycle that validates your own limiting beliefs. When you stay stuck in the doer role, you're actually reinforcing the belief that I have to do everything myself, or no one can do it as well as I can. Here's how this cycle works. You believe you have to do everything, so you keep doing the work instead of leading. Because you're doing the work, your team doesn't get the chance to fully develop. When things don't go perfectly, because you're spread thin, you point to it as proof that you were right. You do have to do everything. This validates your limiting belief and pulls you deeper into the doing. You're trapped in a self-fulfilling prophecy where your actions ensure your limiting beliefs appear true, when actually you're preventing successful delegation and leadership from ever having a real chance to work. The fascinating thing is my clients have never come to me saying, I have an identity crisis. They come to me saying, my team doesn't follow through, or I can't find good people. They're focused on the symptoms showing up in their business, but can't see the root challenge. And of course, there are many possible root causes behind the same symptoms, so accurately identifying the real issue is essential. That's exactly why coaching is valuable. I help them stop chasing the symptoms and address what is actually happening. The identity crisis isn't just uncomfortable, it's expensive. Every day you stay stuck is a day your business isn't reaching its full potential. Recognition is the first step, but what can you actually do about it? Let me give you some practical steps to start breaking free today. Now that you have recognized this pattern, here's how to start breaking free. Step 1, define your leadership value. Start with clearly identifying how you create value as a leader, not a doer. Ask yourself, what can only I do in the business? This might be strategic planning, client relationships, team development, or vision setting. Write it down specifically for your business, your goals, and your new role. Step 2, catch the retreat pattern. Set up a simple check-in system. At the end of each week, ask yourself, what did I do this week that someone else should have done or could have done? When you notice this pattern, don't judge it, just acknowledge it and adjust. I love doing this at the end of the week because what that means is you are not just reactively rolling this behavior over into the next week and reinforcing those habits that are no longer serving you. By having this check-in point, you're able to observe it, acknowledge it, not judge it, and make a different decision. Step 3, create leadership activities. Block time in on your calendar specifically for leadership work, like team one-on-ones, strategic thinking, reviewing the work that your team members are doing. or planning. Treat these appointments as seriously as client meetings. In this step 3, where you're blocking out specific time, those should align with the activities that you have identified in step number 1. These high-value leadership activities that you are running towards with your new identity as a leader. Step number 4, start small with trust. Choose one small task you typically take back and commit to letting your team handle it completely. Resist the urge to quote-unquote fix or redo their work. Use this as practice for bigger delegation. And as a reminder, if you are challenged with work review and trusting your team members, be sure to go back and listen to my 3-part work review extreme series. Step number 5, measure leadership results. Track metrics that show leadership success, like team development, business growth, or your own time allocation. This helps you see the value that you're creating in your new role. I hope these practical starting points help you begin this important transformation, because the potential for your business and for you personally is too significant to ignore. The transition from doer to leader isn't just about business strategy. It's a personal transformation. And like any transformation, it starts with recognition. Today, we have covered how to recognize the identity crisis that keeps you stuck, why the doer identity runs so deep, what warning signs to watch for, the real cost for staying trapped in this cycle, and most importantly, 5 practical steps that you can take to start breaking free. Remember, you're not just changing what you do, you're changing who you are in your business. This takes time, intentional practice, and patience with yourself as you navigate this shift. But here's what I know to be true. The business owners who make this transition successfully don't just grow their businesses. They reclaim their time, reduce their stress, and create the freedom that entrepreneurship was supposed to provide in the first place. The identity crisis from doer to leader is real. It's one of the biggest barriers that I see preventing business owners from achieving the growth and freedom they want. I have loved having you listen to this episode of the Small Business Straight Talk podcast, and I sure hope you found this conversation to be valuable, but I need to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So take action today. Here's my challenge. Pick one of the 5 steps we discussed today and commit to implementing it this week. Whether it's defining your leadership value, catching your retreat patterns, or starting small with trust, choose one and take action. Then, if you want to dive deeper into the leadership transition, grab my free Balanced Leadership Guide at amberdelagarza.com/work review. Again, you can grab that free Balanced Leadership Guide at amberdelagarza.com/work review. It complements today's episode. And don't forget to go check out my recent 3-part work review extreme series, episodes 376, 377, and 378 for more insights on building effective leadership practices. And if you want help managing your time, creating efficiency, making a new hire, reducing stress and overwhelm of running a business, or making strategic decisions that will help you level up your business, I'd love to talk to you. I am inviting you to schedule a discovery call so that we can discuss partnering together to help you get unstuck, reduce stress, and determine a clear path to increase profits. Head on over to amberdelagarza.com/call today to schedule. I look forward to chatting with you. So that's my straight talk for today. Until next time, have a productive week.